Hello guys and gals, and this is 1 Minute Bedtime Stories by Shari Lewis with Lan O'Kun, illustrated by Art Cumings. This is part 4, as you can see. Part 4. And this is probably going to be the final episode. We'll try to read the remaining stories. In the last one, we read... Okay, yeah, that's fine. A Bell for the Cat, The Emperor's New Clothes, The Baker's Daughter, Paul Bunyan, and The Big Family in the Little House. In this one, we'll be reading Sinbad and the Genie, On Naming a Son, The Smartest Man in the Countryside, The Lazy Miner, and Don't Count Your Chickens Before They're Hatched. Let's get started here. It says here, Sinbad and the Genie. Sinbad the sailor was strolling along the beach and came upon a bottle washed up on the sand. Inside was a teeny-weeny green genie. I almost said teeny-weeny greeny genie. But, please let me out, pleaded the teeny-weeny green genie. I have been in here for 5,000 years. So Sinbad pulled out the stopper, and a great cloud of green smoke poured forth and grew into a giant-sized genie. Thank you, sailor man, said. And now, since you have eaten for 5,000 years, I'm going to eat you for breakfast. Okay. Now Sinbad was brave, but the genie held him 8 feet off the ground, and Sinbad was strong, but what could he do against a giant? But Sinbad was also smart, so here's what he did. Here's what he did do. He said, "Oh, don't be silly. How can a little thing like you eat me?" "Little," growled the big genie. "I'm gigantic." "How can you be gigantic?" said Sinbad. "You fit into that tiny little bottle." "I changed my shape. Can't you see that?" said the genie. "Nobody can change his shape," Sinbad laughed. The huge genie couldn't stand it. "I did so change my shape," he said. "I'll prove it." And so the gigantic genie turned himself into green smoke and slithered back into the bottle. Without wasting a second, Sinbad popped the stopper into the bottle and threw it out to sea, to float for another 5,000 years. So there's the genie, there's Sinbad in his hand, and then there. Next we have On Naming a Son. Okay. Looking at the pictures first. Once a father and mother were arguing over what to call their newborn son. The wife wanted to name the boy after her father, and the husband wanted to name the boy after his father. To settle the argument, they went to a judge and said, "Tell us what to do." The judge asked the wife, "What is your father's name?" "Joseph," she said. He asked the husband, "And what is your father's name?" "His name is Joseph too," the man replied. "Well then," the judge said, "what is this whole argument about?" "My father was a great teacher," the woman said, "and his father was a thief. I can't see naming my son after a thief." The judge smiled and said, "I suggest you name the boy Joseph and leave the rest to time. If your son turns out to be a teacher, then you know he was named after his mother's father. If he becomes a thief, then it will be clear he was named after his father's father." And you know what? That's just what they did. Okay. The Smartest Man in the Countryside. John was so clever that he had the reputation of being the smartest man in the countryside. In the middle of the night, one time, he was awakened by a boy from the nearby inn who asked him to come quickly as there was trouble. When John arrived in the lobby, the innkeeper said, "I've had my money stolen. Since that moment, no one has left the lobby. Do you think you could figure out which of these people did it?" Let's see. Okay. There's that. I think I know how he's going to do this. Okay. Excuse me. As the five people in the lobby watched anxiously, John thought about the problem. "Give me the black old pot from the fireplace," he said, "and a rooster." Wondering what he was going on about, they brought the rooster and the heavy iron pot, with its bottom all black with soot from the fire. "Turn the pot upside down over the rooster," he ordered. And they did. "Now each of you put your hand on the bottom of the pot. When the guilty man touches it, the rooster will crow 3 times. They all seemed to touch the pot, but the rooster didn't crow. There was some laughter, but John was calm. "Now, hold the hand, palm up towards me," he said. When they did, he saw that all but one had black smudges on his fingers from the charcoal on the bottom of the pot. John pointed to the man with the clean fingers and said, "There is your thief. He knew he was guilty, so he was afraid to touch the pot." And that's how John came to be called the smartest man in the countryside. Next we have the lazy miner. Let's see what we got here. I see a donkey there. That's cool. Cute. Okay. Let's see what this is all about. Long ago, during the gold rush days, the waters of some western rivers and streams were said to be full of gold. Hoping to get rich without working very hard, hundreds of people traveled out west to pan for gold. Scooping up mud and gravel from the streams, they would shake the wet earth and rocks through a sieve, looking for little gold nuggets, or nuggets of gold, that were said to be mixed in with the soil. As the people worked, they would tell tales about wonderful things they'd seen. One famous story was about a miner who was too lazy to wash his long underwear. Instead, he decided to save himself the work of scrubbing by tying the long underwear to a limb that hung over a little stream and let it dangle in the water. He figured that the rushing water would wash it for him. Well, one morning, the miner was too lazy to even get up and pan for gold. As a matter of fact, he was so lazy that for an entire week, the underwear just hung there and was washed by the water rushing through it. Finally, the miner got up and remembered his long underwear. He went and fished it up, and what do you think he found? The underwear was gold plated. Okay, that's cool. Okay, and this is the last one right here. Don't count your chickens before they're hatched. A young woman was milking her cow and was on... Oh, wait, here. Let's do this first. Okay. A young woman had milked her cow and was on her way to town to sell the milk. As she walked down the path, she balanced the pail of milk on her head. It was early in the morning, the flowers smelled sweet, the sun was warm, and the sky was blue, and she felt good. As she walked, she said to herself, "This pail of milk is going to make me enough money to buy myself 8 eggs. I'll take the eggs back to the farm and put them under my 4 best hens. In no time, the eggs will hatch into 8 chicks. I'll feed them the grain I harvest this fall, and the chicks will grow big and fat, and they'll lay dozens and dozens of eggs that will hatch into chickens too. Then I'll take all the chickens and sell them, and I'll buy myself the fanciest dress in the whole world so I can go to the nicest parties this Christmas. Then when I get to the parties, everyone will ask me to dance, and all night long I'll dance and twirl." As she talked to herself, she gave a little hop and did a dance step. But when she started to twirl around, the milk pail on her head was thrown off balance. The milk was spilled, and her plans were spoiled. "Oh, look what a dumb thing I've done," she wailed. "I counted my chickens before they were hatched." And that was that. This is going to conclude 1 Minute Bedtime Stories by Shari Lewis with Lan O'Kun, illustrated by Art Cumings. This will end the series, and I appreciate all the support. And if you want to support me, all the information will be in the description below. If you like this content, make sure you like and subscribe, and ring the bell so you know when I upload. Thanks for watching, everyone, and have a great day.